Hi, my name is Ben Shepard, and I'm the Chief Investment Strategist here at GIS. So far this week, the global economic news has really been dominated by the fact that China's gross domestic product only grew by 7.7% in the first quarter. That's a little bit lower than the 7.9% that had been forecast. And once again, that's kind of stoking fears that the Chinese economy might be slowing down and could potentially create a ripple effect throughout the global economy. I think a lot of those concerns are really overblown, though. Obviously, China's export sector is slowing down, but when you take a more domestic view and look at the state and health of the Chinese consumer, the economy actually looks fairly strong. Obviously, we're well past the days when it's going to consistently turn in, 8% or better quarterly growth. But really, at this point, I don't think there's too much to worry about. That said, those worries are going to create additional volatility and concern regarding China and really for Asia as a whole. So for right now, from a relative value and performance perspective, I really think Latin America might be amongst the best hunting grounds for global investors. Obviously Brazil might not be the best spot given its deep trade ties with China. But countries such as Mexico, Colombia even, Peru, Chile, all really look quite attractive. Obviously they're heavily dependent on exports, but at the same time they have a growing consumer economy. So a few of the companies that I would probably be focusing on right now are Ecopetrol, our Colombian oil exploration and production company that I covered a couple of issues back. CIMIG, the large electric utility, the ticker on that is CIG, the ticker on Ecopetrol is EC, and also particularly Grupo Aeroporto del Pacifico, ticker PAC. I recommended that last November and it had been performing quite well, but it sold off here over the past couple of weeks for a couple of reasons. One, once again, news of the narco-terrorism in Mexico has been popping up after several high-profile killings. But again, as I've said in the past, most of that violence is largely confined to Mexico's northern border regions here with the U.S. That's basically narco-traffickers battling out for the most lucrative trafficking routes into the U.S., and obviously that's a big concern and a challenge for the Mexican government, but it really isn't affecting the Mexican heartland, nor is it really affecting air travel operations in the Mexican coastal regions where PAC's facilities are primarily located. Another bit of news that's affected PAC as well is the moves the Mexican government has made to start busting trusts. They're kind of belatedly coming to the realization that private enterprise and competition is generally good for business. So that they've moved to privatize the Mexican energy patch. América Móvil, Slim Carlos's large telecommunications company in Mexico, has started coming under some pressure to perhaps break up. And that's created some obvious concerns for the Mexican business community. And PAC is essentially a monopoly. It has monopoly control over several airports in the Pacific regions. That said, I don't see any real risk to PAC. When you look at who actually owns and controls the air travel infrastructure in most parts of the world, it's either some sort of quasi-private governmental agency, like regional transportation authorities here in the U.S., or some other sort of monopolistic concern. Frankly, there's no real other way to handle that. Without monopoly control, there just wouldn't be the necessary investment. And so far, the Mexican government has seemed really fairly happy with how the monopolies it's established to run its air infrastructure have performed generally. On top of that, there are some excellent business trends in place. Here in the U.S., the whole concept of a road warrior has become a bit of a cliche, but it's actually more of a developing idea in Mexico, which is undergoing a really impressive pace of industrialization. And in fact, they're getting out of the low value add goods, and you're seeing more car manufacturing. Aerospace has a growing presence. There's talk of some electronic components manufacturing facilities potentially going in. So that's creating a lot of intra-Mexico air travel. In the past, PAC and other Mexican airport authorities have been largely reliant on tourist traffic. But that's really not the case anymore, and that's a really positive business trend for PAC that I think will continue playing out regardless of what occurs in Asia. So, again, I'm Ben Shepard for Global Investment Strategist.